Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something, well, it's pretty interesting. Back in 2017, there was this whole thing about Michelle Obama,
Yeah.
right? And her decision to not attend the inauguration of Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, and our source for this is an article from CBS News. It's called, "Michelle Obama Will Not Attend Trump's Inauguration," her office says.
Interesting.
So we're going to dive into this, try to figure out why this was such a big deal, what it might tell us about the political landscape back then.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is that it wasn't just a personal choice, right? This actually kind of went against a historical trend.
Hmm.
You see, for decades, it had been customary for former first ladies to attend inaugurations. It was a way of showing that power was being transferred peacefully,
Yeah.
and sort of a symbol of national unity, no matter which party was in charge.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like saying, hey, look, we're putting the country above all this political stuff. So for Michelle Obama to break with that felt like a big statement. So I'm curious, do you think this break from tradition signals something deeper about the political climate back then?
Well, it certainly raises some questions, doesn't it? I mean, you got to remember, this was a really contentious election. There's a lot of tension between the Obama and Trump camps.
Yeah.
So some analysts saw this as a sign of how divided things were, like a visual representation of how fractured the political scene felt.
It is interesting, though, because
Yeah.
the article itself doesn't say why she made that decision. It just says that, her office confirmed
Yeah.
that she wouldn't be there.
Right, right.
So it kind of leaves us to read between the lines a little.
Exactly, and that's where things get really interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't know for sure what her motivations were, so we have to consider, a bunch of different possibilities. Like, some people thought it was a silent protest against Trump's policies, or maybe even his rhetoric, a way of kind of distancing herself from his administration.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then others suggested it might have been more personal, like maybe stemming from all the scrutiny and criticism she faced, while she was in the White House.
You were following politics closely back then, so what? What was your reaction when you first heard the news?
Well, I remember thinking, wow, this is powerful. It felt like the end of an era almost, this tangible break from the norms and traditions that had defined American politics for so long. It definitely sparked a lot of debate and discussion. People interpreted it in all sorts of ways, depending on their own political views, of course.
It definitely felt like a turning point, didn't it? And
Yeah.
it makes you think about the role of the First Lady.
Yeah.
Traditionally they've been seen as symbols of unity, grace, that sort of thing. But Michelle Obama was different. She was outspoken. She had her own causes. It felt like she redefined the role in some ways.
Absolutely. And her decision to not attend, well, you could see it as part of that, right? Asserting her own agency, sending a message that went beyond,
All right.
what people expected.
So here we have this seemingly simple act, not attending an event, but it's loaded with all this meaning, all these different interpretations.
Yeah.
It really shows how, you know, especially in politics, every little action can be seen through so many different lenses.
And that's what makes this such a fascinating moment to look back on. Because it wasn't just about who was at the inauguration. It was about these bigger political and social currents. It still makes people talk about the role of tradition, the power of symbolism, and how political leadership is changing.
A fascinating deep dive indeed. It really leaves us with a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us. And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.